Black Box Challenge is a homebrew role-playing game released in 2017 by Sly Dog Studios, or at least this version was. There was also a Kickstarter version of the game. Maybe those guys got it in 2016. Regardless, is it just me, or does this game not really get the recognition it deserves? You know, I get it. Commercial homebrew is basically bought by a few dozen people, and a portion of those people don't even play the games. And more bigger, more polished games have been getting released recently, especially a few major Kickstarter projects. But man, this game is huge! Games like Legends of Aulia and QuestForge are pretty damn long, but this is a solid 8 hours at least, and it's packed with these cute little minigames. It is so on the nose a game made for game collectors that if you have enough interest in NES and homebrew that you ended up on this video in this tiny little corner of YouTube, you should probably be playing Black Box Challenge this weekend. The game is an RPG set in the modern real world where you rediscover your NES, become a game collector, and decide to collect all of the Black Box games. You know how movies like The Artist and La La Land win dozens of Oscars because they're about showbiz and the people in charge of giving out the awards love that kind of thing? Well, this game is basically tailor-made to win the Homebrew Awards, based on the theme, based on the minigames, the in-jokes, the references, and the occasional fourth wall breaking. So the game has this unique real-time stamina bar-based combat system that's a lot closer to Panzer Dragoon Saga than it is to a traditional Final Fantasy. There's no equipment or weapons or consumables. You press the D-pad to block incoming attacks from different directions. You hold B and press a direction to use different attacks, and you hold A and press a direction to use different kinds of power-ups to make you faster or stronger. Now, maybe it looks like a mess here, but I promise it's rolled out slowly, one ability at a time, and it's very intuitive. You might also notice that I'm Karnov, standing on a power pad with a U-Force behind me. This is an endgame save, just imagine I'm a scrawny, poor game collector. These combat abilities are one of the ways the game gates progression. The main way you get abilities is finding an NES game in the world, bringing it home, and beating it to get some related ability. So if I'm remembering right, you beat Gumshoe and you get the ability Clue, which gives you more information about your opponent, like their stamina bar and health. Different areas obviously have different enemies, and different enemies have different attacks and weaknesses. If you enter an area with an enemy whose attacks you can't dodge, that's a pretty big clue you're not supposed to be there, and despite all your tactics and strategy, you might not even be able to beat a single enemy that's off the critical path like that. The other way the game gates progression is through Overworld Abilities. The Overworld is a large map that you'll be exploring every last inch of within the game. You get a balloon to hop over those gaps, you get a bike that lets you jump ramps, you get a boat that you can sail, you get a pickaxe that lets you climb over this mountain, and so on. This part of the game feels closer to maybe a Zelda game than a traditional JRPG. You don't just walk through a grassy overworld to the next town. You'll be exploring back and forth all over, and you better not miss some small single-tile opening because it could be the path to the next area that you're supposed to go to. Having the world slowly unravel as you gain new combat and traversal abilities is really exciting. You guys know how it is. You've explored almost every accessible room on planet Zebes, and suddenly you get the Morph Ball Bomb, and it's like, oh my god, I can go back to all those places and explore so much more right now. That feeling happens constantly in this game as you progress. And don't get stuck, because there's no fact, no walkthrough. I've actually had multiple people send me private messages on Nintendo Age because they knew I beat the game and they were totally stuck. I wouldn't say that this is a hard game overall, but if you like exploring, am I using the word exploring too much? If you like exploring, this is the RPG for you. So, you've explored, you've got a new Nintendo tape, what happens now? You go home, you pop it in, and you actually play it to meet some goal or beat some kid in the world's high score, and you get a new ability. Now, it's not like there are 30 full-sized NES games within this one game. They're mostly these super minor, single-level representations of NES games, and you only get to play them in like a quarter of the screen. But man, this is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen in a homebrew game. These games could almost have been their own little multi-cart without the lengthy RPG adventure attached to it, and it still would have been this fine, adorable little tribute to the Black Box games. Honestly, Black Box Challenge overall is a better tribute to the NES than Nintendo's own super lazy NES remix games are. And I won't get into how bad I think the NES remix games are, but this game's about remembering your childhood, and they've got these representations of your childhood game, and you're playing it on that same childhood console. It's almost beautiful. Now, the games are, again, very simple. They're usually not super challenging, but you still get excited to see each one. You're thinking, Gyromite, how is he going to do that? Pro wrestling? Is there really a one-on-one fighting game programmed into this little world? Everything else aside, The brilliant theme, the innovative combat system, the world exploration, if there's one thing I could tell you about this game, it's that it understands how to reward the player. I got a new dodge move that lets me jump. Now I can go back and beat that boss who kept rolling barrels at me that I couldn't jump over. Oh, I just got pinball on NES. I can't wait to get home and see how that one actually works. I just got the bike jump ability. I feel like I can go anywhere right now. And wow, what high praise is that? I just said this game clicks into your brain and knows when to release the endorphins to keep you hooked and enjoying the game the whole way through. So basically, it's the next Super Metroid. Okay, let's hold up. This game does have a couple of moderate-sized problems related to the combat system. The biggest problem, and this is a feature, not a bug, is that once you beat a single random battle enemy, you've demonstrated your ability to beat that same random encounter every single time, possibly without even taking damage. If you block every attack an enemy does, they can't do damage to you. And this isn't exactly Dark Souls. You get a solid 2 seconds to react to every attack. The wide variety of enemy types helps, but this makes random battles into a bit of a grind. Both blocking and attacking use up your stamina, so you keep enough stamina available to block every single attack while slowly regenerating the extra that you can use to get your own attacks in. And your health doesn't carry over from battle to battle, you always start at full health, so I really mean it when I say that every random encounter is exactly the same. Remember, I'm Karnov, I've beaten the game, and I'm not smashing these enemies with one hit because I'm level 100 and using my ultimate attack. Even when you're powering up, you still need to play this stamina-based dodge and attack game. Now I hear you saying, hold up Karnov, why don't you just run from all these low-level battles? You don't need the manuals from them. Oh yeah, by the way, the currency in this game is NES manuals. Neat. So why don't I run? Well, running takes all of your stamina, and I would put the success rate at pretty bad. Even if running was 75% successful, I don't think it would be worth it. There is nothing worse in this game than having no progress into a fight and having just lost all of your stamina because you tried to run. This means you will be slowly regenerating back your stamina, one tick at a time, and the enemy is going to keep attacking you, and remember, you have to use stamina to block, and it takes like a minute to get back up to full stamina, at which point, what have you accomplished? You're at the beginning of this random low-level fodder encounter with no progress that you didn't even want to participate in the first place. Now, the combat system, it's really cool and innovative. I think. I certainly haven't played any game like this. These two drawbacks seem kind of inherent to the system, and I really like how it all works, so I don't know if I'd want to change it drastically in any way just to fix these problems. Yeah, you can use a buff that increases your stamina regeneration. Yeah, you get a power pad, which slightly increases your run success rate. Yeah, RPGs aren't usually the most skill-based genre to begin with. As it stands for me personally, these 2 points prevent Black Box Challenge from being this truly excellent mythical battle kid to your homebrew. But it's still very good. Remember, the 2 games I used for comparison in this video were Panzer Dragoon Saga and Super Metroid. Side note, this game's better than Panzer Dragoon Saga. That game is really kind of overrated. Don't hate me for that, I'm not really a big RPG guy. Sly Dog Studios, you do have my permission to put the quote that this game is better than Panzer Dragoon Saga on the back of the box though. So speaking of the box, where do you buy this super cool, lengthy homebrew RPG? Well, as of recently, it's not really on sale at the moment. It used to be available for $40 from Infinite NES Lives, and there were also 30 limited editions, 10 auctioned off on Nintendo Age, and 20 more on Kickstarter. Oh yeah, let's rewind. Where'd this game even come from? It was like almost this side note of an NES Collector's Guide Kickstarter called Complete NES. I'm not saying this was an afterthought, but it was like this secondary project meant to coincide with the release of the book, and honestly, a game this good could have thrived off its own Kickstarter, rather than getting a mention in the title of the Kickstarter as Physical NES RPG and Art. No man, this is Black Box Challenge, brand new, full-length NES game with innovative combat system and game collecting theme. I don't know how the rights of NES games work. I don't know why, if it comes back, the sales will benefit charity. I don't know why the initial release of this game was called Jeffrey Wittenhagen's Black Box Challenge, but then it got re-released without his name, which is the copy I have, by the way. All I know is that this homebrew is definitely worth playing, and it's definitely worth being able to purchase in physical form. It's a game about collecting NES games. You literally have to own a physical copy of it. There is a ROM available on the Sly Dog Studios website. I don't think it's a demo because I saw on Nintendo Age somewhere that they didn't want to make a demo because it was too weird. But I can say it's at least slightly different from the copy that I have because there was no title screen and it does act kind of weird in the emulator I tried. But if it's the full game for free, I definitely would say download it and check it out. I won't say that Black Box Challenge is in the absolute top tier of Homebrew. Battle Kid 2 is kind of up there in its own universe of quality, and then there's my personal favorites like Legends of Alia and Streamers, but I would put Black Box Challenge just below my favorites. Man, people like when you rank stuff, okay? All that stuff, all the good and bad stuff I said about this game is just gonna go in one ear, out the other. They're just like, where do you rank it? What's the number you give it? That's not really what I do here, so no number. That's it for Black Box Challenge. It's definitely a very good game. Thank you guys for watching.